First of all, may I thank you all for coming today and congratulate those of you who aren't familiar with Cardiff on finding, first of all, St Nicholas Church and then secondly, Churchill's. I was hoping that a few of you would have got lost on the way, but I'm just going to have to pay for all the meals, I'm afraid. It really is great to see you all, and I'm delighted that you've made it from such far-flung places as the south coast and the southeast of England, from Manchester, from Belfast, from the darkest parts of South Wales, and I mean Bruce and Llantwit Major, and from Japan. Those of you who don't know, Simon lives in Japan. He managed to get back for a week on just a diversion on a sales tour around South America. How this is on his way back to Japan, I still haven't quite worked out. He never was much good at geography. I'm under strict instructions not to drink anything tonight until after the first toast, so you'll excuse me if I now appear to hurry my I have to say, I'm very proud. There's a lady sitting quite close to me who's beautiful.
Jill.
Wonderful company, don't steal the line. Charming, exquisitely dressed, but that's enough about Jill.
Yeah.
Except to say, I'm eternally grateful for all that she's achieved in bringing up our lovely daughter, and not to mention Simon and Tom. Simon. I haven't drink yet. Seriously, I would like to thank my darling wife, not just for the things that you've done to make this day special, but for being the perfect wife and mother. While I was out working, you stayed at home and brought up 3 children who've made me very proud. And the way they love each other, they really do, despite the banter, is a real tribute to what Jill has done over the last 30 years. Oops. Just let Kate say Joe to the back.
Yes, Jordan, I am 30.
Kate has always been very independent. She's travelled the world on her own, sometimes to places where I wouldn't go on an organised tour. And that independence has meant that in the run-up to the wedding, Jill and I have had it very easy. No bridezillas then, apart from the saga of the suits. But I won't go into that, the family know. Most parents seem to spend the build-up to the wedding of their daughter under siege. But Kate has been very much in control of this wonderful event. And all I have to do is simply sign the cheques and pay tribute to her organisational skills.
Woo!
I know all fathers feel justifiably proud on their daughter's wedding day, and I'm no exception. As I travelled to the church this afternoon, I wondered where the years had gone. That little girl that I held in my arms and hoisted onto my shoulders is now my beautiful daughter. And don't she look stunning today?
Yeah.
After years of t-shirts and jeans and Ugg boots, she's really scrubbed up. And as we came up to the church, my mind went back to various events in Kate's life. How I was so very grateful that there were no freshly dug graves in the churchyard. Because Kate has an amazing knack of falling into holes, even when she's been warned about them. And I think back to a family holiday in France when we all went for a stroll on an almost deserted beach, and Kate fell into almost the only hole for miles around. And I hear she kept up that tradition when she went on a hen weekend, finding the only hole in the riverbed and ending up to a waist in water. Kate really is a smashing daughter, sometimes quite literally so. And if you've got time, ask Simon and Tom about the Ice Cube show at 4 o'clock in France. Kate is passionate in what she believes in, intensely loyal to her friends and family, full to the brim with affection for the people she loves. She's vivacious and honest, and although on times she can appear vulnerable, the velvet glove certainly hides a steely core. Jill and I have no doubt at all that if her life had taken a different course, she would have been out in darkest Africa or somewhere similar, caring for AIDS victims, for refugees or displaced people, taking on foreign governments and battling for people's rights. If ever any of you need anyone to fight your corner, you couldn't ask for a better advocate than Kate, and of that Jill and I are immensely proud. During her teenage years, before she left home, and since, Kate has had a succession of boyfriends. And they all, with one exception, failed to impress her. Those that I was allowed to see, and I think back to that famous night when she brought somebody in, managed to knock me into the understairs cupboard and shut the door at the same time. Seriously. But most of the boys generally arrived in the right place at the right time, looking good, looking smart, but all disappointed her terribly, which, when you come to think of it, and I'm sorry to the Manchester crowd, it's a bit like the English rugby team, isn't it? The boyfriends were varied, and Jill kept on to her to find, as she used to say, find a nice Welsh boy who shares your passion for rugby. I'm delighted that possibly the only time in her life Kate has taken Jill's advice. It can't be a feature. Thank you, Dylan. It can't be a feature of every wedding that a father can stand up and say in all sincerity that he's delighted with the choice his daughter has made in her husband. Paul is a kind, loving and trustworthy man, hard-working, supportive and reliable. You only have to see the way he is with Dylan to see what kind of person he is. And Paul, I am so happy to welcome you into the family. But the thing that amazes me is that you made the choice to marry Kate after you met all of us. What a man. Crazy. And I'm glad too that Kate and Paul share so much. A love of Dylan, a love of rugby, and a house that's a money pit. More importantly, they share a sense of humour. Paul, there's always a few words that the father of the bride wants to pass on to his new son-in-law, and I'm no exception. I'm just going to pass on 2 pieces of advice which have kept Jill and I happily married for nearly 33 years. This afternoon you married Kate with the 2 words, I will, even if they were a bit premature. I will. I was close enough to check. There are 2 other words which will keep you happily married. Yes, dear. And secondly, whenever you're in the wrong, own up. If you're ever, very rarely, if you're ever in the right, just shut up. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that you would wish to join me in wishing Paul and Kate a long, happy and healthy future one which is filled with joy and the sound of laughter. Mark Twain once wrote, "No man or woman knows what perfect love is until they've been married for a quarter of a century." I've been blessed to have that kind of marriage, and I can only wish the same for Kate and Paul. So please, join me in raising your glasses to Paul and Kate, Mr. and Mrs. Lawless.
Mr. and Mrs. Lawless.